basically created several cities without charters. The others became cities very quickly after that happened. We were the last area that became a city. And it took us a long time to do it because we were fighting with people who really did not have the factual information, just as, I don't know who wrote that, and you don't have to identify yourself unless you want to. And but people were putting out information that just wasn't accurate. The Schaefer Amendment required, it didn't allow, it required that all money raised within the boundaries of those special service tax districts that were set up, that all of that money had to remain within that area to support all of the things that we now are going to get as a city. So we were functioning with what money we were bringing into that special service tax district without the benefit of the $20 to $25 million that we could have gotten from the sales tax. So if we were able to pay all of our bills with what we were already taking in, and now we're going to get $25 million, $20 to $25 million that we weren't getting before. I mean, I'm not a math wizard, but to me that sounds like we're going to be in pretty good shape. Does it not? Okay. So I would ask, if you really want to, whoever sent that, if you have numbers that conflict with the numbers that were shared with you, bring them up, show them to everybody so that we will all know, because if we made a mistake, I sure would like to know about it. Please, if you don't have facts to back up what you're saying, please don't say it, because all you're doing is confusing your neighbors. If you have facts, I ask you to bring it forward, because it's possible. If we made a mistake, all of us are capable of doing that. If we made a mistake, show us the mistake so that we can address it. Fair enough? Okay, thank you.
Question was, what will our city be called, and do we have a choice? The charter sets forth the name of the city, and it's City of South Fulton. That can be changed by changing the city charter. And so that would be a legislative decision at the General Assembly to get that changed, should that be the desire of the community.
And the change, the reason why it's called South Fulton, just so that you know, we only meet for 40 days at the General Assembly, 40 days each year. So we got to get a lot of stuff done in 40 days. And when we came to the conclusion that we had to get this city done, we only had those 40 days to get the bills through the General Assembly. And as we talked about what the name of the city was going to be, everybody was saying, let's name it after whatever their neighborhood was. Folks in Sandtown said, let's call it the city of Sandtown. People in Cedar Grove was, let's call it Cedar Grove. Everybody was saying, let's call it wherever they lived. The only thing that defined the entire area was South Fulton. So that's what we went with temporarily. Atlanta was not always called Atlanta. Anybody in here named Martha? Your name Martha, the city was named after you at first. It was called Marthasville. And it was actually had 2 or 3 names before it finally got to be Atlanta. Will we change the name? If the citizens want it changed, then it will be changed. But the process will be that, first of all, we got to come up with a name that the majority of people will agree with, and then you take that to your city council, you get them to vote for the name change, and once they get a majority of the people saying that they want it, they will submit that to me at the state capitol, and then we'll work to get the name changed. Okay? Anybody have an idea what they'd like to call it? You don't want Wolf Creek, okay. And that's what we've been getting. Everybody tells what they don't want it to be, but nobody's come up with a name yet. My grandkid came up with one, but I don't think we want it, but he wants to just call it Fire Truck, so.
Okay. Why has there been no communication about the city of South Fulton? We see the paper after meetings, and this is the first time we've seen notice ahead of time. That's the first question. Well, guess what? I almost consider us an unfunded mandate. When the governor created the commission, he sent us with $0. Okay, so we're unfunded. We have no money. What does that mean? That means that all we can do is send press releases to every notification outlet we can send and depend on them to print it and to run it. So we're really at the mercy of local media outlets because we are penniless. Are you with me? If you can come up with a way in which we can communicate with you in a manner that doesn't cost any money, we're all open for it. But at this point, when you have no money, and you know those other things normally cost, right? We start talking about communicating. But you know, for us, we have to rely on the news media and the magazines. And every time we have a meeting and anytime we do anything, we send it to them. Some publish it ahead of time, and then some inform you after the meeting has occurred. But that's kind of where we are. The website, well, I didn't bring it with me, but we actually have a name. If you go to the Fulton County website, they've been posting most of our information, including our meetings, but the new website that they have given us is also on their website. And we're very close to launching that, hopefully before Friday. We're adding the final touches, but any information that you want to find out about us, the county has been gracious to put it on their website until we get ours launched. But our information, the website name, is on Fulton County's website as well.
And you could also, to the extent that I can keep it up, my website, which is rogerbruce.net, we try to put as much information out there as we can, too. We communicate by email and other things, too, so before you leave here, make sure that, is somebody collecting email addresses? Or?
We didn't do that, but we can.
Okay.
You can, okay.
Yeah. Why don't you pass out something so we can collect email addresses for those that want to be added to the email list? Mm-hmm. We ask that when you get information from us, that you forward it on to the people who are on your list. And we just have to do what we can do with what we have available to us. But again, you know, you have my number. If you have questions, you can feel free to call. As I said, if I don't answer it, it's because I'm somewhere in a committee meeting or whatever, but I will call you back. And but you can go to, as I said, to my website. You can get some information until this other site is up and running. There are various community groups that are out there that also have been putting out information on the website, on their website. So, but just be cautious that whatever you get there may or may not be accurate, but it might be something that at least triggers your attention. So, okay. All right. Okay, somebody wrote, will Wolf Creek be part of the new city, and will we benefit from it financially at all? And I'm assuming you're talking about the amphitheater over there. That is going to be probably one of the things that we will end up in a big fight about, and because we don't know at this particular point where that's going to ultimately end up. As all of us know, they had issues over there with how they were managing it, and as a result of that, they're turning it over to a contractor at this particular point. Whether or not we are going to end up with it, that's still, like I said, it's going to be something that we will go to war over, and we'll find out.
Okay, we've got our last 4, 5, 6 questions, so we're going to answer part 2 of the question that was earlier. If you have a Fairburn mailing address, will that change? Okay, a couple of things. When we were doing a cityhood thing, everybody was so confused, right? The way the law is today, your address is your postal address. So therefore, there are more people with a 30213, which is Fairburn, that lives in the city of South Fulton than live in the city of Fairburn, okay? But because the Fairburn post office was the closest to you, they gave you a Fairburn address, right? And that happened in Union City. It happened all over the place because people were confused. Now, will that address change? Federal law says that the Congress is the only one that can give you a postal address that belongs to you. So we're going to leave it up to our great people like this, right? Bruce and... Well, what it means is that we will have a centralized postal address. You may have varying post office, but you will have a zip code that just belongs to your city, right? And that has to be done congressional. And so at some point down the road, if the citizens want their own zip code, they would have to put in that request more than likely through Congressman David Scott. And then they will look at, or John Lewis. And then they would, you know, try to accommodate us or not in terms of having one zip code.
Yeah, my thought on that is that we would wait until we come up with whatever our final name is going to be, and then we just make that all one big request, so to speak. Because we don't, every time you change the name of your city or change the zip code, it costs the business owners a nice little chunk of change because they have to change everything associated with all of their tax records and everything else. And it could cost you as a homeowner, you know, a couple of dollars too if you have a lot of things with the old address on it. So we want to do that all in a systematic way so that we don't have to do it multiple times.
I'm going to combine two questions on the same topic. One is, will there be a debate with the candidates that are running for different offices? And the second is, will the people running for office be available to the public? The short answer is, there's nothing we can do on that one way or the other. If folks in the community want to have a debate among the folks running for office, certainly they should do so, but there's nothing we can do to require or do anything other than, you know, perhaps at best encourage it, but that's outside what our role is.
And they are going on. There's actually one going on tonight where they have some of the council people. My colleagues and I in the State House, we also took it upon ourselves to do interviews with the people who are running for mayor. And we videotaped all of that. Have any of you seen those videos? Okay. And did they help you with, I know it didn't help you pick somebody, but I bet it sure helped you eliminate a few. And yeah, and again, those videos are out on my website, so if you want to go out there and look at them. What we did was we talked to each of them for about 45 minutes or so. And we asked them questions where the other candidates could not hear the questions that we were asking. We actually asked them all the same questions. They just didn't know that. And so they could not feed off of each other's answers. And one of the questions that seemed to have gotten the most controversy was a simple question. Did you support the city coming into existence or not? And if you did, why? And if you didn't, why? I think we need to know the answer to that question for a lot of reasons. And, you know, not to say that someone who didn't support it can't run, but I think we all want to know what the person's thought process is. You know, was there a good analytical method that this person used to decide that they wanted to vote for it or not vote for it? And if it was just random, if it wasn't any good solid reason, that tells me something about an individual, that if they have to sit down and start negotiating with Fulton County, you know, are they capable of using logic? Are they capable of reasoning? Are they capable of negotiating? All of those things are skill sets. You know, and I'm not looking at this as, you know, and I hope that you will understand, I do have an HR background, so my thought process is that as you look at who you want to vote for, you're not looking who you want to be the mayor or the city council. What you're really looking at is who you want to be your employee. These people are going to be working for you. And do they have the skill sets to do the things that you are expecting them to do as mayor and city council? Those are jobs. They are jobs. And just like if you own a business, you're not going to hire someone, I hope, that does not have the capacity and the capability to do the job for which you're hiring them for. Is that a fair statement? So you got to look at it this way. Don't vote for any of these people simply because you see them in the grocery store, or they're a member of your church, or, you know, whatever. You vote for them because they are going to be working for you. And you want the best person with the right skills to perform the job that you're hiring them to perform. And if you do anything less, then you're going to probably get less. So anyway, that's a long answer.
Okay, here are the last set of questions. Is it going to be another update meeting? We have a public town hall meeting the third Tuesday of every month. This is our second one. Our first one last month was at World Changes, and we're here at Open Word Christian Ministry tonight. And then we're in the process. A lot of times various churches will contact us, and we're so appreciative of that, and it gives us a venue. And so we're trying to move these meetings around the entire city, right? And so, but the third Tuesday of every month, all the way until May, we're having these meetings to give you an update of what has transpired since the last time we had the last meeting, okay? Where to go and apply for any open positions. Well, right now, the city does not become functional until May 1, and at that point in time, as a HR director gets in place, and as departments come over, departments will know, and she or he will know what jobs are available and what to be posted. But, you know, traditionally, once the city is up and the existing cities, you go to their website, and any job openings and what the requirements are normally on that website. Now, this one I may have to ask you to help out. Explain the difference in zone, how many and why. So I don't quite know what you mean by zone. If you're talking to planning, one more ask, are you talking planning, or are you talking political districts? But if you're talking political districts, there are 7 council districts and 1 mayor, okay? If you're talking something planning, see me afterwards and I will give you some clarification on that. And then the final question, how are funds allocated for highway, roads, and streets? And who determines what roads are improved first? That's part 1. Well, the county has been doing it for 10 years. And even with the T-SPLOS, with the $95 million, you know, engineers do what they do. They ride around and they look up what they think you need, and they have a few public hearings. But by and large, the county has controlled what happened to our roads, and none of them live here, okay? That's why we needed to become a city, so that you and I, who drive up and down certain roads every day, who truly know the traffic impact, that truly know what needs to be widened, that truly knows where we need a caution light, we get to make those decisions with the 8 elected officials. So we bring the decisions to our community and take it away from the county. When will road construction and improvement start? Well, that depends, because there are 2 transportation budgets with the county. You have the CIP, okay, which is your capital improvements plan, where there are a number of roads that the county decided that they were going to approve out of the general fund budget. And many of those are actually in the process, and construction should start on those soon. And then there's the T-SPLOS, which you and I just voted on last November, which is the $95 million, right? And so, you know, as we transition, we're going to have to look at, for sure, because the county already has the CIP projects in the hopper, letting them finish those out, right? And then on the T-SPLOS, how do we want those projects to be administered, and administered by who? You know, that's a recommendation that we get to make to mayor and council, and then mayor and council at the end of the day have to make that decision. And then the last one. Oh.
Which I can do.
Okay, good. Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. The last question, the last question I've got is, can you elaborate on the school system? Will it remain the same? If you are in an area of the city of South Fulton for which the city of Atlanta did not try to annex, then you will stay within Fulton County Schools. If you are in an area that the city of Atlanta tried to annex and it is into litigation, where I represent a lot of those areas, there's 2 issues. One, it is currently in the Supreme Court as to whether Fulton County Schools stay in those areas, or wherever the city of Atlanta goes, the city of Atlanta schools go. That was argued last summer, and that has not been yet decided by the Supreme Court. When we get an answer to that, that'll clear up some of that. But even if that says City of Atlanta schools follow the City of Atlanta's borders, for those of you who are in areas that they attempted to annex and the court said they did it the wrong way, that is currently in the Supreme Court. There is an argument set, I want to say, we'll get it on the website for when the actual argument is. It's in March, at least for the 5 areas I represented. That will be in the Supreme Court. The Atlanta city government appealed the decision. I will be arguing it to the Supreme Court. It has been briefed. It's ready to go. And then depending on what the Supreme Court of Georgia does there, that will be another answer. If the Supreme Court says it was annexed, then you have to look back to the City of Atlanta versus City of Atlanta schools case to determine which schools apply. If the court affirms what Judge Dempsey in Fulton County said, which was you did not, City of Atlanta, you did not annex these areas properly, then it stays Fulton County schools.
Okay. And the final question, will the courthouse ever be a part of our city or remain a part of the county? By state law, the county will always have county courts. We'll only have municipal court. And what we're looking at is using the courtroom at the South Fulton Service Center off of Stonewall Tail Road. That will be our courtroom for environmental, traffic, and other courts that fall under the auspices of municipal court jurisdiction. But outside of that, Fulton County retains control of the court system, right? The only court system that we will have oversight of is municipal court. So with that being said, I'm going to give these two gentlemen time to say final comments, and then I'm going to close it out. But let me ask, did we answer all of your questions? Did you get a clear understanding of what our role is and what our purpose is and what we have done and propose to do? And can you explain that to someone if they ask you the question? Yes, Ms. Vanjie. Oh, I'm sorry. My name. Okay, my name is Camilla Moore. This has always been home for me, and I grew up in Fulton County. At some point, my dad asked me, was I ever going to have another job, right? Came right out of college, co-op with the county, and I stayed there for 25 years. And so this has been home. It has been my family. You guys have been my family, and you're all I know. And so when cityhood came about, you know, all of us rolled up our sleeves, and we thank many of you, we got it done. And now we're here to get the last part done, and we're hoping that you, as a voter, understand your obligations when you go to the polls. I say this at every meeting. One of the things as a young Camilla Moore, with a middle-aged woman named Eva Galumbo said, you only get to do it once. There are no redos, people. Whoever you elect out of these first 8 dictates our community for the next 20 years. So you need to ask, like Roger Bruce said, the hard questions. Do not take it lightly. Do your homework. Let me give you a statistical fact. We made history on Election Day. Not even federal elections can say that 75% of its registered voters went out and voted. That's unprecedented. We had 59,000 registered voters. Over 45,000 went to the polls, okay? Nobody else does that. So we anticipate if they were that excited about becoming a city, you should be more excited about who's going to govern it, right? And so please do your homework when you are going into the ballot and who you decide to vote for. Roger, Josh?
I think you said it all. Again, thank you for coming out. Are we going to stick around for a second in case somebody wants to? We'll stick around for a second if anybody has any additional questions. Yes.
Okay, Saturday morning there's a mayoral forum, 11 o'clock. Where's it at? Langston Hughes. Mayor and council.
Is there a question in the back over here?
Okay, what was that again? 11 o'clock council, 3 o'clock is the mayor candidates.
There was somebody in the back over there had their hand up. Speak up. I don't think they can hear you.
Okay, on the 23rd, there's a Greek Panhellenic Council that is sponsoring forums for all of the candidates in different rooms. And that's the 23rd at the International Convention Center in College Park. What's the time? 6:30 to 8. Okay, is there for mayors? Okay, the same night, there's a forum at World Changes for council districts 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay. Just 5, 6, and 7. Okay.
See, that's how we, somebody asked earlier how we communicate. That's how.
Josh.
One more?
Well, that's Atlanta. We're not going to say nothing about them. We trying to get them out of our business now, right? And they want to do, okay.
Yeah, we know
right,
that.
but it's sponsored by somebody from
Atlanta.
Atlanta. Okay, we trying to run Atlanta away. They just cannot stay out of our business. Wow.
They claim that they're looking at the regional aspect of our city, but the region includes all those other cities that were incorporated, and they didn't have any hearings or forums on those. So
I know what we should do, Roger. Since they have a mayor's race coming up, what we need to say is that the citizens of South Fulton want to sponsor a mayoral forum for all of the folks that are running for mayor in the city of Atlanta, right? I mean, that's what we're equating this to, right?
I can't follow that.
they lost.
Now, the only thing I would add is thank you all for being here, for your interest, for making this community what is going to be a resounding success. I'm excited to play just a very small role in it, and thank you very much.
He's gracious.
Humble. He's being humble. He's
yes,
helped
he
us
is.
tremendously.
Okay, we wouldn't even be a city today without this young man.
He helped us
He
a lot.
fought for the constitutionality, right? And still going to fight for our constitutionality as a city.
One last thing, if I could, which has nothing to do with the city of South Fulton. Those of you who live in my area know about the event that I do every year out of Sweetwater Creek State Park. I stock the lake with fish. You can't tell the kids that I do that because they think that they're catching Moby Dick when they come out there. But I fill that lake with fish, and then we give all the kids fishing poles, and we feed everybody, for the seniors, for the kids, and we're out there all day long. It'll be May the 20th. It's all free. You don't have to pay for anything. You come out there, you bring your kids, your grandkids, and we have a great time, okay? It's on my website, too.
Is Pastor still here?
And are these firemen sitting over there? You guys?
Yes. Come on, stand up. Anybody in public service? Don't they look good? Anybody in the military or has served this country, will you stand? That's what I'm talking about. Thank you. Thank you. Well, Harold, if Pastor's not here, you want to close us out with prayer? Okay, come on, Pastor, would you close us out? And we thank you so much. Will you give a round of applause for the pastor of this house and for this church for allowing us to come in here tonight?
Can we all stand at this time, please? Lord, we thank you for this night. We thank you for the information that has been given and